I got interviews to Case Western University and then Roseman University as well.
All right. So Case Western and Roseman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So those that are watching and listening, you know it's going to be one of those two programs. So hold on. Slow down. Don't go forward. Just slow down. So those two programs.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about those two interviews at those two programs, because what you're describing is what you just described was the first step.
Yep.
Which is application, apply, get your list of programs together.
Yep.
In your case, it was 8. Got it down. I'm sorry, got it down to 8 from 10, and then from that 8, we were 25% successful in getting 2 interviews. So that's the first step, getting the interview, right?
Yep.
Now you gotta go to the interview,
go to
and
the
prepare interview. And go to the interview. So let's talk about the interview day, how it was like at those two programs, anything that was unusual, and just kind of share with us how that went for you. And if there were any, maybe non-traditional questions that you remember having to provide some answers for, because this interview this is it. This is the last chance for this cycle.
Yeah.
For you to give them every reason why they must pick you and put you on their rank list as well. So tell us a little bit more about that.
I think at the point in which I did a lot of investigation for both programs, granted, I was fortunate enough to know either people who have attended that program or going to that program, or had some form of affiliation with the program, and that gave me more insight as far as not the interview day, but more so the culture of the program, in which allowed me to even select and have such a large interest in it. And so when attending the interviews, granted, I prepared in the sense of my travel arrangements and all those other things. But I think when it comes to answering questions, I do recognize that we've already been through dental school. We've applied for maybe a few different associations, things of that nature. It's important to know a little bit about the school and about the people who run the program. But other than that, I think there needs to be a little bit of surprise that you allow yourself to intake, because it allows you to be very organic with not just the residents that you're interacting with, but the staff as well. At both residencies, I recognized they were very similar, but they had their differences as well. And so within similarity, I think both residencies had a great culture, very vibrant space. I recognized they were really getting work done, but they enjoyed what they were doing. I could clearly see in the various faculty individuals that I interviewed with that they were very passionate about what they were doing. Those from Case Western I saw had a little bit more of a international mix, a larger international mix from what I recognized, which was really, really cool. I was able to meet with people from all over the place. I met people from Greece, from Egypt, and a lot of different schools as well from across the country, Canada as well, some Canadians as well. So it was a nice mix. I did see more of a domestic pool from Roseman, which I didn't mind either. It was also very different for me. And so it was a really cool experience. I think that, like I said, when it comes for preparation, there shouldn't be too much practice, in my opinion. I know that maybe you go against the grain for what a lot of people look at, but I think you never want to have a script that you're reading from, or something that preparing for every single question that could possibly be asked. I feel like it's antithetical to what an interview is supposed to be about, which is to get to know you and for you to get to know the program, and do that in a genuine way where you come across and give them your full personality and ask thought-provoking questions that allow them to know that you're thinking deeply about where you're going, and also that you have an interest in the program. If I don't have an interest in something, I'm not asking questions. You know what I mean? But if I have an interest and I've done my research, chances are I have some questions for you. So I think questions are super important.
One thing, you gotta ask questions. You gotta ask questions. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
One thing I found unique about my experience, though, is that I asked questions that had to do with what was happening within the interview. Right. So they knew that I was listening intently to what they were saying and asking questions based off our conversation. This isn't something I can preform or come up with on. It has to be right then, there and then, which shows them I have the ability to converse, think critically, and ask thought-provoking questions. So I think that was a big up for me going into the interview space.
Yeah, and let's be clear, everyone's going to prepare for the interview day or the conversation, in-person conversation day differently, depending on your level of comfort.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Depending on your level of comfort of being able to hold a conversation.
Absolutely.
And to conduct yourself accordingly within that conversation. So everyone's going to be different. Some people have it naturally. Some people have practiced it over the years and they're comfortable, but there are some people that have not.
Yeah, I would agree.
And they do need to practice at least their talking points about themselves, the reasons why, and being able to hold a conversation with the other group of individuals. If you're not comfortable doing that, then you've got to practice that aspect.
For sure.
All right. But again, it's different for different people.
I can agree with that.
So I don't want y'all to say, oh, well, Dr. Kwame, he said you ain't got to practice. And he got into ortho and match. I don't have to practice. I'm just going to go to the interview and just be organic. Okay. No, that's not what we say.
That's not what he says. And get the knowledge and the information. I'm just saying, don't bring a script with you. You know what I mean? Like, don't.
No, you have to be natural. You have to be talking from the heart, and organic with intention. You can speak organically, but you also need to talk with intention. Any specific questions that were maybe kind of took you aback and said, stunned you a little bit?
I think the only question that I received from one of the residencies that kind of took me a little bit back was when they provided me with an apparatus from ortho and said, "What is this?" They said, "What is this?"
Here we go.
And to be honest, I looked at it and I was like, okay, I can tell what the function is, but I don't know exactly what this apparatus is. And so, I candidly was like, I don't know what it is. I can assume what it does. And that ended up being a conversation within itself. Now, the reason for the question wasn't necessarily to know whether I know what the apparatus is or not. It's to gauge a level of level of communication, right? Can I communicate that I don't know something and be able to communicate that well while not also just giving up, but saying, hey, I don't know what it is, but I might know what it does. You know what I mean? So that I think was the purpose of that question. It wasn't to gauge whether I knew or not, but how do I handle things when I probably don't know? And because why am I applying to ortho if I know everything?
Well, that's right. How professional are you and comfortable in saying, I don't know what that is. It looks like this. Maybe it's this. You know what? I don't know. And you ask a question, right? The smartest, the smartest candidate in the room, the smartest dentist, the smartest orthodontist, the smartest person in the room is always going to be the one that asks the question. Ask the question and says, I don't know what this is. What is this? It's okay. It's okay. So I'm glad you shared that kind of a strange situation that happened where they gave you a model or something like that and said, hey, what is this?
Straight up. I was like, woo!
Right.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And for those of you that are preparing next cycle for situations or questions like this is so important. Why you must, if you're applying to ortho, you must dive deep into knowing orthonese, Yep, I just made that up.
Mhm.
Yeah, orthonese. I made it up. It's the
Orthodontics.
language of ortho, right?
The language.
And you learn orthonese by doing things like talking to residents, current ortho residents, diving deeper into that prophet book, the Bible of orthodontics. I don't even know if people have books anymore. Everything's probably digital, but I still got my book in the garage over here. Red book, about 300 pages. And to your point, I never even opened up that book very much because not too much ortho was taught.
Listen,
hello.
listen.
That's a whole nother conversation. But that's also how you speak orthonese, and you got to go to the AAO. And if you don't know where AAO is, then we got to really go back to basics with your thought process and your preparation and being intentional about becoming a board certified orthodontist. You got to go to the ortho meeting because they're going to have hot topics, new issues, new apparatus that are going to be shared at that meeting, all of which is great content and things that are going to help you get prepared for your application, but also for the interview day. Hello. So very important to be able to answer those questions. And like you said, ask questions. So your next assignment is go to the next video. Go to the next video right now. Go, go, go. Love, peace, and smiles. Go to the next video. Go to the next video.